Well, top of the morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is DB333 and welcome back to Divine 4, the New Order, Last Days Europe. Last video, I'm not going to do that for much longer. We finally got our economy sort of in order, and we're turning our eyes to the west and following the opinion of Jean Lamasse. We can't keep ourselves tied to Germany, I think. Try to go ahead and, excuse me. Yeah. Go ahead and, disassociate purely with the Germans. Now, how well this will go, will need to be seen. Her Spear is actually doing pretty okay. He strikes me as more pragmatic about all this. At least initially. And then it's the PRC versus Tomsk over here, so we'll see what ends up happening there. Oh, we have, the Islamic State of Talas, interesting. Haven't seen that one before. Paraguayan Bush War. Well, we'll see what ends up happening there. Shit. The only good successor date of Hitler is probably the Butcher. Kek W. Is that Kek W or Lil W? I think it's Lil W, my bad. Well, how are you doing, Mr. Chieftain? Welcome to the chat. Let's go and expand the tourism industry. Often forgotten about our fair Ireland by the outside world is that we have a great deal to offer, not just the corporations, but the regular citizens of the world as well. We have ancient castles and storied history, the Giant's Causeway, and other natural wonders too. Let the American tourist tread our rustic villages, our calm meadows, and deep forest. They might not find anything on the sheer scale of a Grand Canyon, Niagara Falls, but what there is to partake in is well worth the trip over to the Atlantic. We ought to not focus too heavily on the stereotypes about Ireland and America, though. No mentions of leprechauns or four-leaf clovers will be tolerated. Okay. I think now we got... Yep, we have investors back. Construction, what are we working on now? School and dairy, which will be done in 1965. Do I even want to bother with it? I'm fine with lesser consumer goods. Can he hold the nation together? That's a question, isn't it? So we have open funding. Well, shit. ICG terror, that's not fun. Here's your money for the week, said the guard Captain Harrison Lennon, who looked at the wad of Irish pounds on the desk in front of him. He gave him one look before pushing the captain. I want double the normal amount. Do you have any idea how much the media would eat this up, or the government? There's lots of guns flowing through Dublin right now. The captain grunted and grabbed another wad of cash from the desk and slid the two towards Harrison, who was smiling. He stuffed the two into his jacket and thanked the captain before leaving the station and walking down the street. He came upon the jewelers and walked inside. The walls had been lined with all sorts of riches, taken from some poor country in Africa. Blood diamonds fought Harrison as he looked through them. A few stood out to him and definitely cost quite a bit, especially since it was getting hard to get diamonds. He picked out one that he thought his wife would like the best, a custom ring band that was based around a Celtic knot. As he paid for the ring, he felt like He left feeling satisfied, but was wondering if he truly made the right choice by taking the cash. She's gonna love this. There we go. The Resistance won. I'm impressed. And then looks like they're gonna beat back the port over there. I presume at least take back Davenport. Yep. So there they go. They were meeting in a nondescript room. A more imaginative person, prone to the flights of a fantastic, might have called a bunker a secret hideout away from public view. In reality, though, they were merely meeting Old Man O'Dooley's barn about a dozen miles out of Newry. Seamus Tomey, leader of the IRA, much preferred this state of affairs, truth be told. He preferred to stay on the move, never staying in one place for too long a period of time. Having a hidden base was something out of a spy novel. In reality, it was much more effective to have small, hidden locations where sympathizers might allow desperate cells to meet. Today, Tomey was meeting to his lieutenants, James O'Malley and Patrick Kelly, who were responsible for his particular cell of paramilitaries. The meeting was a general check-in, one that many of Tomey made as he traveled and covered throughout the 4 countries. It's bad up there, Seamus. How so? The UF's been more brazen in their attacks as ever. They've attacked some of our men in broad daylight, picking fights with anyone who even dares sympathize with our cause. Not to mention, we still haven't found out much about anything about the Citizens Guard. The military's been cracking down more than ever. In short, it's chaos out there, Seamus. Tomey couldn't help the wide grin that found himself plastered on his face. Lieutenant's incredulous looks, he couldn't help but chuckle. Gentlemen, I'm the one man in Ireland prepared for the chaos to come. It's all according to plan. Let's go ahead and lower the corruption. New engine upload just dropped? Why am I blanking on what that means? I'm too tired for this, I think. Bianca versus Order. Interesting. Let's go ahead and track Western business. Association with the Pact, and more specifically the German Reich, meant associating ourselves economically as well as geopolitically, excuse me. The effect of ceasing a good portion of the trade and business we do with our friends over the Atlantic, and the very specifically with the entire membership of the OFN. Now that we need to seek these connections, we will need to invest more than a simple promise of money. We'll need to ensure those who might be leery of potential backside that their investments will be secured. We'll have to rebuild some connections that had been in place for centuries before the rise of the Germans broke them. But anything worth doing isn't easy. We shall persevere. So get more bonuses to OFN investments, inflation will drop, Americans' arm factories, event, poverty will decrease, and our economy will be more decentralized. I'm not quite sure the difference between one or the other. If I can pull up the economics. Okay. Well, our DDP is no longer doing one of those horny eagle sex spirals, which is nice. Well, it still could be better. I didn't unpause. I was waiting for something to happen. I'm an idiot. That's what I found out just now. Dublin. Government measures to restore the Irish economy have seen some degree of success. However, according to a new report by the Department of Industry and Commerce, the tourism industry in particular has seen a massive boost in income. It's now performing better than before the recession. Experts are pointing to a single reason: visitors from North America. loosening of restrictions on trade and commerce via OFN, many people are taking the opportunity to visit Ireland. According to reports, bookings on Aer Lingus from the United States to Ireland have more than quadrupled. The airline has expanded the number of flights from America to accommodate. Hotels have seen a massive increase in stays, with boost in popularity around the winter holidays and St. Patrick's Day. By 1970, current trends show that Ireland's hospitality sector will double in size, said Elena McGarity, a spokeswoman from the department's tourism section. The trend will be driven almost entirely by visitors from the United States and Canada, while tourists from Germany and other nations will remain at the same level of decrease. We find visitors of Irish heritage of the biggest market for this sector. Not only do they visit more than other tourists, they stay longer, travel more, and spend more money. Speaking on Trinity College's campus, tourist Henry Stenback from Fort Wayne, Indiana, agreed with the assessment. This trip was great for my wife, who is from a heavily Irish Catholic background, he said, and practically everyone of my tours from the States as well, with a lot of O'Shea's and McCarthy's. It's a beautiful country, and I'm certain you'll be getting some return visitors from this group too. And the only ones the pack sent were soldiers. Beautiful. I assume that's what someone from that's just what people from Indiana sound like. Trust me. Trust me. No economic sphere. How are these guys all doing? It looks like Speer's Germany is falling apart. Yeah, that makes sense, honestly. The English Transitional Government, Cornerstone Democracy. You got that guy over there, which ought to be fun. Or Daz has been elected. I forget which one he is. Not that it matters now because it's not going to do anything, other than being a neat little bit of world building stuff. But yeah. Okay, I thought it broke for a second. I don't remember Nixon singing the song, but yeah, okay. So look, we now have an Irishman in office. John McCormick, who looks fucking horrified. Which makes sense, because I don't think he was expecting to be in this position anyway. We lost the other Irishman, though. May the Lord bless his soul. I'll be right back, honey, said the man to his wife as he began. He walked out of the house, took a smoke break, and taking the stars. Inside, she began to read a magazine, an American one, from the looks of a cover and the garish colors on the front that would have made anyone's eyes bleed. Came back a few minutes later. They flipped through the TV together for a bit before deciding to go to sleep. Across the street, unbeknownst to newlyweds, they had been watched the entire time. Oh. And the flat across the road, the one that the groom had been looked at had 3 officers of the guard sitting inside. After being tipped off of this by the rental service, they had set up shop across the street. One of the officers flipped through the files that he had set next to him, reading up on the couple that they had been surveying. Simplest of information that the state had on them through intelligence operations over more mundane things like a birth certificate. He flipped through them, both for 25, both from Dublin, more mundane information about the others, till he came upon something. Both parents of the couple had been part of a Sinn Féin, making them a perfect target for some snooping around. Before the couple arrived, the small team had been working their ass off to get bugs installed over the flat they'd been staying in. It seemed to finally be paying off. Now let's see if we can catch him doing anything related to fun. As fun officer as he put on his headphones. Well, this is going to take a while. The Irish NSA. I like it. We could do another bill. I don't know how decent that would be right now. Right now, let's work on restoring some public trust. Thousands are out of work, lining the streets in search of jobs, relief, or even a warm meal. Factories are closed and stores are shuttered. Everywhere, people wonder if tomorrow they'll get a pink slip or if their kids will go hungry. How can anyone feel pride in being from Ireland? And how can anyone ever think of voting for Fianna Fáil? If the ones who messed up in the first place, excuse me. Regardless of how much blame is on us versus the outside factors, we have to confront the fact that people do not like us head on. We're the party that saw the people of Ireland through this terrible situation. Through terrible situations like this, we're the party to put your trust in. We're gonna be the ones to fix this. Damn it! Our economic relief policies will take care of fiscal matters. Now it's time for Ireland's mental relief as well. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm gonna keep talking a little bit because I don't want the background music to give me a copyright strike. Because that would fucking suck if that happened. To the north of Cork, cars start pulling into the lot early in the morning, with men and women getting out of and filling into a massive structure at the end of a parking space. More workers join them from the buses that arrived outside of that new transit stop. Trucks come in through the entrance as well, but go around the back of the building in reserve, so their rears are facing the loading bays. A freight train comes alongside the structure to drop off a load of boxcars to be filled. Many vehicles and people enter the structure, and above them is a same name, Magnavox. Magnavox is a strange name to the local inhabitants, and the origins are even more unusual for Ireland. Nobody expected an American electronics manufacturer to set up shop here, not since the war, but the recent thaw had changed that. When the excavation for the factory began, people could scarcely believe what had been happening. Even when the structure began to rise, people still didn't believe that the Americans were going to really invest in their country. Magnavox simply decided to move to Ireland for the most basic reasons. Magnavox had strong sales of televisions in Europe for years, driven by a strong trade in Wales and Scotland. With Ireland opened up to the American markets, they felt they could muscle in on what had previously been an exclusive ground for Siemens and offer the people there a choice as well. A European factory in Ireland could shave on shipping costs and take advantage of a lower labor cost. Anything not sold on the Emerald Isle could be shipped easily to other European markets. So Magnavox was happy with their investment. The engineers, assembly workers, electricians, janitors, secretaries, and the transport companies at Cork are happy to collect a paycheck in these trying times. Families of those who work at the factory are happy for the security the factory provides. Many people around the islands are happy to own an Irish-manufactured television as good as one shipped from the States. And hopefully they're watching RTE. Supporting the good old public broadcasting. Our GDP growth is doing pretty well now. I'm happy about that. I really am. Yeah. I think we can realistically cut back on army stuff. Start making some money from that. We probably should have done that a bit sooner. Maybe even at the start of this. But, you know, what they say about hindsight. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And then we can get working on investing into our GDP a bit. Stahliker's 1. There goes the DRC. May they RIP. Speer is Tota. And that says sehr nicht gut. Or something, I don't know. But yeah. Restoring public trust. I don't believe that's done enough. And then let's go ahead and do an attractive immigrants, or at least read it for next time. In the 1800s, the neglect of the British Empire caused millions of our people to starve or flee to other nations during the potato famine. To Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the Caribbean, these people went. But more than any other destination, it was America which received the bulk of our people, forming a cultural bloc which has continued to exist even unto this day. Perhaps now that we see closer ties with the Yankees, we might use our contacts in these communities to open their ears somewhat to our proposals. Show that at the heart of things, we seek to mend our mistakes from the days of a war. With some luck, we may even get the opportunity to have some of them establish business ties. That sounds wonderful, and we'll have to see what happens with that next time, because I got to cut it here, folks. Thank you so much for watching over, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.